Hey guys, so for this video I'm not going to go into the scene we're working on. Instead I'm just going to answer a few questions that I got, which is basically how do my GPU rig looks like and how do my workflow with Project Manager and you know, model bank work. So for starters, my GPU rig, many of you have seen maybe that I usually have 5 GPUs in my computer. Now I only have 4 because I stole one to put into my VR computer. But you know, people are wondering, how do you get in 5 GPUs in one case? So first off, let's see here. Whoops, splitter. If you go to AmphleTech Splitter, no, this one, 4-way splitter. This is the one I use. So basically, this can convert one PCI Express slot in your motherboard into 4. So you can have 4 GPUs into one slot. So I built my own case. Just some square pipes and plastic connectors. I got this from some German site. I can't remember the name of it. Basically looks like this. So I just saw them off and mounted them. GPUs up here and motherboard and everything down here, and I just had some plexiglass boards which I drilled holes for the motherboard screws, and also of course my little logo. Pretty simple. And here's the motherboard. So just some old junk painted, looks like this. And up here, on this rod up here, I added some plexiglass to know I could screw this down so I could like lock the GPUs in place, and also my name of course because I love myself. And this is what it looks like finished. So here's the you can see here's how it looks like half mounted. Really clean, really nice, and when it's fully mounted, looks like this. So totally waste of time, looks like shit, but it was fun doing it. Anyway, you can see here how my setup is made. 3 GPUs up here, 2 down there, and you can see here's the cable for the AmphleTech splitter. So that's kind of it. If you want to mount GPUs onto your computer with a splitter, you probably have to do your own chassis, because otherwise you can't get the cards into just an ordinary case. So yeah. Anyway, that's it. So really simple, pretty expensive, but really simple. Actually, I'm thinking of, you know, for the next build, which I'm going to do soon, instead of using the splitter, you can see AmphleTech has an expansion cluster. And with this one, you can actually add 4 GPUs into this cluster, and then you connect this to your computer via a network cable. So this card here, you put into the PCI Express in your motherboard, and then you just connect those to this. You can actually have 4 of those containing a total of 16 GPUs. Now there's not very many motherboards that can actually handle 16 GPUs, but it's theoretically possible. So anyway, this is the good thing with this actually is that you can have your computer in your office and have all your GPUs put, let's say, into the closet or into another room, so you will get nice, cool, and quiet office, which is pretty nice. That's my plan. Hope it works. So anyway, I can recommend this. I haven't heard anyone using it with FStorm, but I've seen many people using it with Octane and it working fine. So of course it works fine with FStorm as well. But you know, the day I get this, I will tell you about it. So my workflow. First off, I just want to go into script spot. Actually, we'll take this a little bit later. People asked me about my project manager. How do I set up my projects? And basically I don't. Yeah, of course I do, but I don't have a fancy project manager application or script or anything. I do things manually. Now this is just a fake folder structure, but this is just to show you the simplicity, organized version of it. My real folder is not this organized actually. But anyway, I have everything saved on my Dropbox. So whenever I sit at work at my office and I save a scene or I save some models into the model bank or anything, instantly when I save it, it's uploaded to Dropbox because Dropbox is syncing in real time. So instantly it syncs to Dropbox and my computer here at home downloads it. So if I save an image or a scene at work, as soon as I get home, I can open the exact same scene. And also, all my textures, all my models, all assets I ever use is also on Dropbox. So every URL or every link to any texture is directed to Dropbox. And so I have this on my, you can see my Dropbox folder here is really nasty, but I'll close that one. I have my Dropbox on a 3D storage drive called S. So this is my drive letter. And of course, I have to have the same letter on each computer so they can reach the same files with the same URLs. So when I jump from the office and home, I never have to change any URLs. I never have to relink any textures. Everything just works perfectly. And in my 3D folder, I have a few things: assets, clients, installers, models, personal projects, and textures. And then I have a bunch of other things that I actually just had to delete. But this is the basics of my so-called project manager. In the assets, I save my LUTs presets. If I have like a scene presets or render preset files, these one I have presets here. I save them there, and in the scripts I save all my scripts where simple like detach all elements from an object and randomize UV coordinates or anything like those small handy scripts, and also have a folder where I save my studio scenes. So if I'm like creating some preview images of a model or testing some materials, I use my studio scenes. Let's skip that for now. Installers, it's where I have like just if I find some nice plugins that I love to have, I just save the installers here. So if I reinstall 3ds Max, I can just install them easily without having to go and download them again and so on. Models, we'll come to this. In my models is where I have basically is this folder where I have all my models sorted and easily reachable in Connector. We'll come into Connector a little bit later. Personal projects is where I just save all my personal projects, blah, blah, blah. Textures is my texture bank. So here I have like, bricks, stone, wall, ground, tiles, plastic, concrete. You get the point. So I just save. Actually, I have this one here as well. We'll go into this a bit later, but you can see my texture bank I have here. Bricks, buildings, bumps, CG soils, floors, concrete, decals, dirt, displacements, fabrics, floors, blah, blah, blah. And now to the clients. This is where I save. Actually, this client folder and my personal project folder looks the same, kind of. I sort all my projects for clients. So, of course, I have client 1, client 2, so I can easily remember them, of course. Go in here, and they are sorted by which project it is. So, project 1, project 2. Of course, I name these for the name of the project or the street or whatever name I get from them. And sometimes, mostly there's just one folder here, apartment 1, because mostly they just order like one apartment with several rooms. So that's one scene. That's because if I get a project where I need to do like kitchen, bathroom, and bedroom and living room, that is one project, and I save everything of that in one scene. So I create everything in the same scene, so I can just jump around with camera angles and all that. However, sometimes they order, like, we want the kitchen from this apartment, and we want the bathroom from another apartment. So instead of having, you know, different buildings in one scene, I sort them up like this. This is easier. So apartment 1, apartment 2. If I go in here, this is my structure, how it looks like inside the project folder. So in assets, this is where I save all the material I get from the client, like drawings, detailed descriptions, every feedback. If they send me like mood boards or PDF lists or anything, I save everything here. So this is all material that I get from clients is in the assets folder. Finals is of course where I save the final renderings. And usually I actually in the project here, the project folder, I actually like to create a delivery folder. And if I right click that, now this is not on Dropbox, but if I right click on a Dropbox folder, I can copy Dropbox link and I can send that to the client. So I save all the finals I collect into this, so they can just go into that Dropbox link and download all the final images for that project. So, and under the renders are just test renders. Textures. Actually, of course, I like to save all my textures in a texture bank. However, there are always textures for a project where, you know, these textures, you know that these will only be used for this project. They're not good enough to be worth saving in a bank, so I just save them here. And of course the scenes, which is like, you know, here's the max files, apartment 1 version 01, you know. And actually I try, whenever I save a test render, I name that, because if I am, you know, if I have like a scene like this and we save this here, and let's say that this project's called just Hoover Street. I just do it like this. Basically, version 01 is, you know, the version number of the scene, because if they decide to change things, I call that a new version. But R01 is like revision or whatever. So basically every time I press save, this is just the save number of that. And now if I make a test render here and I save that, then I save that with the same, you know, if I do a test render here, I also save the scene at the same time, and I name the test render the same name as the scene. So which means that if a client do some changes and then some more changes, and then they want to go back to what they had in an earlier image, because that happens sometimes, that to say like, you know, we decided to go continue with the last design which I had in the image called V01R02. So then I know that the image that I sent them having this name is this file, so I can just open this file and I know this is the exact same as the image that I sent them. So that's a maybe a bit overkill, but sometimes it actually saves my ass, so I don't have to, you know, search through old files. And speaking of old files, in the preferences in 3ds Max, you have files, increment on save. So this means that every time you save, a new file is created. So it's just really good, because if they want to go back to an older state, you have the scene files, so you can just open that and copy whatever they want to keep from that. I hope you understood. So basically that is my project manager. I don't do very much else. I don't use the 3ds Max's built-in. They have like this project folder here, which you can, which is probably pretty good. But what I hate with this is that as soon as you set a project folder, let's do that actually. let's see, let's delete all these files here. Ah, come on. Oh, anyway, if I create a 3ds Max project in this folder, there we go. You can see that 3ds Max creates a lot of different folders, which I will never, ever use. Okay, this one is good to have because then you know that all your auto backups is actually in that project. But anyway, that could actually be handy. Yeah. This is probably what I would have. But you know, I don't like the names of these. I think it's just stupid, so I don't use that. So anyway, that is how I do my so-called project management. And let's go back here and find a script called Copyter. This one allows you. This is because if you remember, if you've seen old videos from me that I where I showed basically I have some copy and paste script up here, so I can go to one scene, copy the models, go to another one, paste it in. So I didn't have to now go in and save selected. However, I found this script here, which is actually a bit better because you can save 5 different versions or 5 different copies in the same time, and you actually get a preview of them as well. So this is pretty nice. So let's go download that. I want this. Okay, let's press 0. I want this. Yeah. Anyway, let's see, 2.0 download. Now I'll just put this here just because, for the sake of showing. Extract here. So, take this one, drop it here. Customize user interface. Let's go to menus maybe. Where was it? I hate this. I never learn. Zofty tools. Okay. Here it is. Copyter. So, okay, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that either. Because this is the main menu bar, right? Oh, no, it's this one. Okay, so what is... För helvete. Oh, alright. Sorry, I just lost my mind there. If you go, not to menus, but if you go to toolbar, you find Softy Tools, Copyter. You can just drag it up here. And then you got it here. Now, basically, if you select a model, press copy, you get a... oops, it actually disappeared. What the fuck? Okay, that's not supposed to happen, but... Oh, strange. If you only have one object in the scene, it actually disappears. So anyway, this works pretty good. I can select these. You can see that it saves just that one into here. So yeah, I should get a thumbnail as well. These files are stored in the auto backup folder. But if you now go into reset, don't save, yes, you can just click the image and it's imported like this. This is really nice if you're, for example, it's pretty often that I am instructed to put a shelf here and add some books on it, and I know that I have a shelf with books on in another scene. Then I just open that scene, select those models, copy them, go back to the scene I'm working on, paste them, and done. I didn't have to, you know, save selected or anything like that. It's really simple. Also, before I actually always made my materials in another scene, so I had like material scene, which is pretty good actually, because if you have a scene that you do all your materials in, you know that all your materials are made with the same lighting setup, so you know that all the materials matches the same kind of values. If you do materials in the scene you're actually working on, you are always adapting them to the render settings that you have. So if you, for example, have a LUT file which actually affects the colors of that render, then you actually might add wrong colors to the model just because you're compensating for what the LUT file is showing you. So that's also a good thing, because if you are doing all your materials in a separate scene, just some simple studio scene with an HDRI or something, then you can like in your project scene, copy them all, have two maxes open. So in the other max, you go into that scene, paste it in, create some textures or shaders, and then you just copy it back to the original scene. So it's a really handy tool, really. So let's go a little more in-depth into Connector. I've shown you this briefly before, but not very thoroughly. So if you go into connectorapp.com, you come to this page. It's so this is a model bank developed by Design Connected, and you know, I could not recommend this more. It's really, really, really good, and it helped me, you know, change my workflow a lot. So now I've already have it installed, of course, so I won't download it, but you just press download and you install it, and basically when you right click, you will get a few new things here. Add assets to connector, manage external files, and the external files I showed you before. The nice thing with this is that let's say I have a chair. Find. This I've shown you before. You know, it's looking in my favorite textures, folders for textures, so I never had to relink anything. You can just click things out like this. And if you press Control, you can see that you can rotate the model. If you press Shift Control, it rotates 45 degrees instead of 90. So like this. And let's go to a table. Come on. A dining table. You know, my model bank here is not finished. I've actually just started to redoing it, so everything is unsorted. And here's a nice model from 3D Sky. Yeah, whatever, this looks horrible. No one would ever decorate like this. But anyway, if your client comes and say that, you know, we want another set of chairs, and you know, this one is a little out, this one is in, a little bit rotated like this, and they want to replace the chairs. So one really, really simple thing you can do, just mark all the chairs you want to change, go into your chairs, drag another one out, replace selection. You can see you can change the orientation if you need to, but if you have done your math, or if you've done your homework, all models should have the same orientation. So just press OK, and you can see that all the chairs was replaced and placed in the same way, so with the rotations and all. Really nice. And if you would like to add, place some stuff on top of this, the placement tool works like this, that if you drop a model on that surface, like here, I drop it onto this table surface, it will place on the surface. However, if I move the camera or the mouse outside of that surface, it will place on the ground. I don't think this is supposed to be, because it was not like this before, but they obviously changed something, and you know, I had to complain about that. Anyway, works pretty good. And if you want to move it later, just use the 3ds Max Select and Place tool. You can place it onto whatever you want to. So this is really allowing you to be, I mean, you can work like a real interior decorator or interior designer, which is just totally awesome. Okay, so if I want to add assets to my model bank, let's take a chair which I do not have in the model bank yet. So this one, for example. Find the textures first. Now let's make a new scene for this. So the first thing I do, pivot goes to the bottom. And I've shown you this pivot script before, and if you're having problem like this, these two like move, rotate and scale actually move to the right pivot point, but the move gizmo is not. Just go into here, hierarchy, affect pivot only, and just move the mouse over and it jumps to the right place. It's some bug in 3D Max when you are working with groups. So group pivots do not always move until you go in here and just move the mouse over it. Strange, but that's how it is. So let's actually load an HRI. This is an HRI from Jürgen. I think I've shown you this before as well. They're calibrated interiors. You can find them on Grant Warwick's page, masterinCGI.com, in his shop. So let's make a render preset for this. Where do we have? I never found. There, texture, instance, enable the direct lighting, and the mapping on the HDRI, spherical environment, gamma 2.2, as always. Let's start the render RT mode. Oops, right. Have to convert the materials as well. So there we go. And now, the new F-Storm version actually came with something that I have not tried yet, and that is the alpha environment. Oh, there was just that. So, just click the alpha environment, make the color white. Alright. The vignetting, we don't want any vignetting. And then make sure that we have a nice multiplier on the light as well. So this is nice for a preview image actually. So what I would do now, I like this one. So I just save this as a preset in my so now let's save it in the my fake Dropbox as well for now. Presets, and this is F-Storm preview preset, like that. Yes. So now I can just add this with the add asset to connector, and as I said before, add from scene will take the whole scene, add from selection takes the one you have selected, so this is the one you want to use. And I want to add this into the seating chairs, and this is the Fritz Hansen. I can't remember the name of it. Oh, it's 7. Fritz Hansen 7. Let's do that. And grab from render preset. This is how I like to do. I just set the render preset here, and in the settings I can choose which one I want to use, which is this one. Get from current view, yeah, that's fine. Custom size, yeah, that's fine too. Copy assets into the asset folder /maps. I use don't copy because I already have the texture sorted in the correct folder. But if you want to copy all the textures that is used by this model into your model bank, just use this one. This is perfect, but I don't. Okay, I just realized if you when you're exporting this asset to connector, add from selection, in the settings here in the render preset, you also had to go down to advanced setting. Save previews in assets folder, JPEG same as assets name, and now give it a name, add. You'll see it will be rendering. There it goes. And now as soon as I go into connector, it's here. And it also loads the preview image automatically. So now, even if I reset the scene, so I do not have any render settings at all, no, my environment and all is gone. Even if I actually have this in, I'm actually inside of another project scene that I'm working on, I can still, let's take this one. Find. Move the pivot to bottom. It was already in the bottom. Just set a decent camera angle. Add from selection. Now I don't have to do anything because this is already set up. So I just press add. Oh, I forgot to convert the materials. Anyway, as soon as I go into chairs now. Oh, okay. The preview is there. It's just didn't apply it. But you can do that manually. Just show and hide the images, drag and drop the JPEG onto the model, and there it is. Now, actually, I want to fix this model because I forgot to change or to convert the materials. So do conversion, which I assume worked, and just try again. And it should say that there's already a model with that name. It didn't. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. If you export a model, this is actually pretty good because if you are exporting a model that already exists in your model bank, it will add a number in the end of that, which is good because if you accidentally change the model name to the same, let's say you're just exporting a model that's called Sculpture 1, then you know you will not accidentally overwrite the one that you already have. So I can just go here, delete this one, and yeah. Now I have this. I can just drag this one in, replace selection. Yep, nice. So this is the whole point of connector. It's really, really easy to use. You just set up your scene or set up a render preset which you can use, and then everything happens automatically. So this is the strength with connector, and also you can add textures, as I said before. And now this is not fully operative with FStorm because if I, let's see, I want some smudge, for example. Here is my smudge textures. This is from Grant Warwick. If I can just take these and drag them in here, however, they come as a bitmap and not FStorm bitmap. So if I am creating a text material, I have to create a FStorm bitmap and then go into this one, copy it, paste it there, and I can delete this one. Sadly, there's no way to make this create an FStorm bitmap automatically. Not yet, at least. So this is what I had to do. But still, you don't have to go into your folders or bank or your hard drive to find those. And if you go to like texture bank here, and I can search for oak, you can see that I get textures that is named oak. If I search for birch, yeah. Oh shit, yeah, here they come. So there should be a lot more than those though. I do not know why. Okay, it's still searching. So anyway, this is a nice way to, you have everything collected here, both your models, textures, and maybe something else if you wanted to. So I never actually have to go into my hard drive and search through and find my texture bank because I have everything here. So that's the whole point of Connector. So if you're not using Connector still, I suggest that you try it out. So I think this is everything for this video, and if there's something I forgot or that I left out, we'll probably bump into that during the project anyway. So let's just continue with the project.